Morning, y'all. I'm just a guy named Greg. 20 years ago, I was with these two gentlemen back when we all had waves. I understand as long as I just build bridges to connect kids to education. I work at the schools, and I help families build wealth in real estate. I'm a realtor.
Morning. My name is BJ Sneed. I'm from Houston, Virginia. I'm actually the owner of BJ's Hauling LLC, which is a trucking company. Right now, I have about 20 trucks and probably about 80 owner operators that run under me.
Can we get a round of applause? Awesome, thank you all so much. So, gentlemen, we're gonna get right into our first topic, and that is gonna be revolving around teachers that changed my life, okay? So, I wanna pose the first question to the panel, and anyone can feel free to answer in whatever order you decide. Who was, or did you have, an educator that changed your life? And I'm actually going to combine that with the second question. So, if so, what did they see in you before you saw it in yourself? So I'll repeat the question. Who was, or did you have, an educator that changed your life? And if so, what did they see in you before you saw it in yourself?
I'll start. So for me, it was my senior year. My English teacher, her name was Mrs. Johnson. Mrs. Johnson, she was straightforward, didn't really tolerate a whole lot of nonsense. We would move around our classroom, I'd say 2-3 times a week. She would move the classroom around so no one would be in the same circumference as this person from the day before, so on and so forth. But Ms. Johnson, her expectation for me was that though I was what you would call a jock or an athlete, the requirements were the same. I was to read just like everyone else aloud. It would be times when she would make me read more than the 1 page, the 2 pages that everyone else was required, because she, for whatever reason, she felt as though she enjoyed my voice as well as others in the class enjoying my voice. I went on to work with Ms. Johnson. My 4th year at Woodside High School as a school counselor, she was an English teacher. And it was just amazing to see the story just come full circle as she was able to kind of guide me in the direction of being a professional in school counseling. She just kind of guided me. Everything isn't going to be as peachy and cream as it seems. Everybody isn't going to be your friend when you go into that building every day, but every day you show up and you commit to the cause, which is better in the future.
I would say that I had many educators who poured into me. My parents were both teachers. I had aunts. I had people in my church that were all in education. But when I got to college, there was a professor, the dean of our program, Dr. Morris, who saw me and really poured into me and pushed me into education. I tried to run away from that calling because I wanted to do other things. I had a knack for computers, I wanted computer science and things like that. But because of my heart for young people and kids, I decided to go into the education field. And because of her pushing me and encouraging me, I found my way into that. And I think what a lot of them saw me was that leadership ability. And that capability helped me not only in education in the classroom, but in life in general. And I'll also say Dr. Jones, her with the Call Me Mr. program coming and partnering with St. Paul during that time, definitely helped me again see the potential of the things that I had going on and what I could do, and then the mentorship and the camaraderie that I've met with the brothers definitely helped me.
I want to say Dr. D too, for myself. She saw me in high school. I was referred to her by one of my principals. I was a trouble kid, y'all. I was a hardhead, I was. And like you said, I ran away from the leadership skills. I did. I was full of myself, trying to be so cool, and Dr. D really pulled me to the side and said, you're misusing your gifts. And that really stuck with me. You know what I mean? So be back here 20 years later definitely is a full circle, for sure.
For me, it was 2 professors here, actually, Dr. Scarrow and Dr. Ledner Russ. They definitely pushed me to be the best that I could be. Just a little quick story. In 2020, I was supposed to graduate. My advisor told me that I only needed 8 more classes. Come to find out, I needed to take 5 more credits, so that's gonna put me in like 2 more classes to take. I was kind of mad, and I was like, you know what, forget it. I'm going into dump trucking. I'm not doing teaching. So I didn't take those classes. Those 2 professors reached out to me, because I mean, we kept contact, but they reached out to me personally, went to the board and pushed for me to be able to do an internship on my own company, and I was able to graduate in 2024. So those 2 professors, and we still talk to this day, but if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't end up graduating.
Absolutely, thank you. So I just want to, first of all, say that I noticed a common theme, kind of go through some of the stories where you all had a period where you ran away from that leadership position, right? And I just want to point out to our misters and potential misters here, that goes into what you all learned about from Ms. King's session about discovering your purpose. And then for the high schoolers, you were with Mr. Goodine, who talked about walking in your purpose, right? So it's important that once you realize what your purpose is, that you begin to walk in it, because, and I'll ask the panel this as well, what do you think the outcome could have been, and this is speculative, of course, but what do you think the outcome could have been if you had walked in those leadership positions earlier, or if you had taken a hold of leadership instead of take some time to avoid it at first? I know that's a difficult question.
I would have ran into real estate immediately, as soon as I turned 18, because it counts as college credits. I wanted to do business, because I wanted to do something that's based on my performance. I didn't want to have to be based on a relationship, or I got a second job or something like that. I didn't want to do that. So when I got into, when Dr. D brought me to the education world, knowing how to present myself, knowing how to work in different rooms, actually taught me the business I'm doing today. So it all worked out.
And you said it all worked out. I was gonna leave with, all things work together for good. And going through the path that I went, like you said, taught me the skills that I use now. Working with young people, working with administration, working with my peers in my classroom, all those skills taught me how to work with children on a photo shoot, dealing with family sections, having patience with different personalities in everywhere that I shoot. Like, that helped me, so the journey was good.
Absolutely.
I think for me, it was just the confidence piece. I think if I would have honed in on being more of a leader from the beginning, I think I wouldn't have second guessed myself so many times, which we're all going to do and we're going to continue to do as life progresses. But it's one of those things where if I would have honed in, I think I would have been more confident, which would have led to potentially more opportunities, to be honest with you, because confidence breeds opportunity if nobody ever told you that. So with anything you do, you have to remain confident.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would bounce off that confidence. If I would have had more confidence in myself when I was younger, I probably could be someone better, honestly. I was always quiet and short-spoken. I didn't want to say much, but to build your confidence and be able to do, you can do whatever you want to do.
Absolutely. So that brings us right into our next topic, which is leadership before the position. So our first question for the panel is, when did you first realize you were a leader? What was the earliest memory that you have of realizing, hey, I'm meant to guide others in a specific area, or I'm meant to step up and stand out in this specific area, or whatever the case may be? Again, when did you first realize you were a leader?
When I was being hard-headed. I had an aunt who worked at the cafeteria in my middle school, and being a kid, being foolish, she recognized how the room would adapt to me. She was like, "You straighten up, you might can use that someday." And because I was going to her asking for some money, she didn't give me no money that day. That was my lesson that day. So I just remember that specific moment because she still talks about it. And the karma of me being at that same middle school, looking at the same kids acting just like I did. It's karma for me, y'all. So but that's when I remember my first understanding of that leadership role was being hard-headed and not using it the right way.
Thank you.
I'm gonna piggyback off our pledge. From the time I was created, I was meant to be a leader. Since the day I was born, I've been a man of influence. I'm the oldest of 6 children. So, as the oldest brother, I led my siblings.
How old are you?
Huh? So I'll be 40 this year. So that's a milestone. And but I've been leading for a long time. And in rooms I go into, we don't always have to be the leader does not always have to be the person at the top. You can lead across. You can lead with the people you're sitting beside. You also lead, down the people that are under you, that are following you. But people that are above you, that you are following, you can lead in a sense by giving them information, by sharing what you know and helping them make more informed decisions. So again, take your leadership wherever you are and spread it.
Mine wasn't until, I realized I was a leader probably after college when I started my own business. And like you said, to be a leader, you don't have to make it known. And it's not always a title. You can lead and not say anything. Just by your actions, people are always watching and looking at you. That's what being a leader is. Like right now in the world, a lot of people think a leader is who has the most power. That's not always the case. It's about how you carry yourself. And that's when I realized I was a leader. I've had older guys come to me and tell me how I carry myself. So I didn't realize they were looking, but somebody's always watching. Wherever you are, wherever you're going, somebody's watching. So just always keep that in mind. And you can be quiet and carry yourself in a good demeanor and still be a leader. You don't always have to tell somebody what to do, like a boss aspect. You don't have to tell somebody what to do. You don't have to always give advice, but you just carry yourself in a good way, and that makes you a leader.
A key component for me was leaders learn how to follow. So if you never heard that one, that's a good one. Leaders learn how to follow. So in order to be a leader, you got to be able to learn how to follow someone else. Fortunate for me, similar to Mr. Wayne, I've been a leader pretty much all my life, but I've been one of those people that led by example, right? So when we talk about grades, I went and got the grades. I didn't talk about what grades I was going to get. When we're talking about sports, I was just the guy that just presented every day. I showed up. I made my teammates want to play harder. I played the hardest that I could. Chubby fat boy, but I gave it everything I had, you know what I mean? But being a leader is definitely something that I had to learn and grasp. But just quickly, a little story for me, myself. When I learned I had to be a leader, I had to learn the hard way, similar to my man. One night, me and my cousins, we were at a friend of my cousin's home, and it was about 1 o'clock. And my aunt lived next door, so we just, okay, let's just go next door, knock on the door, go in the house, go to sleep. Well, my aunt didn't answer the door. So instead of going back to the home that we went in, we decided to walk to my other cousin's home, which was about 3 miles down the road. But the key was we had to get on the main road. 1 o'clock in the morning, I live in the city, there's police. We get pulled over, they call my mom, which was the last thing I needed. My life was ran like a military life, but my mom didn't join the military. My grandfather was a military guy. So my mom, of course, she took it out on me. Punishment, 3 months, nothing to talk about. Taking everything away from you, you're gonna learn the hard way. But within that, what I had to learn was I should have been the one to say, no, we need to just go to the house right here and just wait till the morning, but I didn't. So from that point on, I had to learn, and then I had to be that voice of reasoning for the people around me, because that's what leaders do. So instead of just complaining and pouting about, oh man, I'm on punishment for 3 months, I accepted it and I processed it, and then I learned from it. leadership skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, right. Thank you very much. So, here is our next question. How do you lead when nobody is watching? Now, of course, we know people are always watching, whether that's your social media, whether that's the person in the grocery store as you're walking by. But how do you lead when nobody is watching? And I want you to take your own interpretation on this question. To me, what this question is saying is, what are some of the background things that people may not always see about leadership and preparation? So that's kind of how I'm interpreting this question. But again, if you want to take it a different way, feel free to do so. Again, I'll repeat the question one more time. How do you lead when nobody is watching?
First of all, you stand on your own 10 toes always, right? The key thing to lead when no one is watching is this. And I live by this, and I learned this from my grandma, but it's nothing she told me, it's more so how she showed me, right? So when you play sports, on the back of your jersey is what? Your last name. So if you move in purpose in life, knowing that you represent your last name, that's all it is to it.
Leadership, as been said, as has already been said many times, is not always what you do in the front. Sometimes being a leader is being a servant. When you're called to do something, you're serving other people. So it's what things you do when nobody's looking. For example, if you see trash on the floor, do you just walk past it, or do you pick it up? Out in the community, there are things that need to be cleaned up, there are things that need to be done. Nobody's always there with the camera on you to catch you doing it and post on social media. Because some people just do it for the social media likes and for the shares. But if you're doing it when nobody's looking, it's a part of, like you said, it's who you are as a person. And eventually what you do is going to be noticed and recognized because people are seeing it who never tell you they know it. They're watching in the shadows, watching you be great and do what you do. And they're learning from your presence doing what you do. So.
Absolutely.
That's kind of the key of everything that I do, stuff that nobody sees. For example, I'm dealing with families every day, guys. So from school to my clients in real estate, they're all emotional. Very, very emotional. And you have to learn how to deal with people. One thing that I do that puts me in that position is I feed cafeteria ladies and my staff. I feed the teachers. I feed, every game, well, not every game, but monthly, I make sure this team is fed, this team is fed. The little small things that give them that support they need. I bought clothes, sneakers, Jordans for kids, things like that. I don't need to post it, I don't need to, only reason I'm talking about it because you asked me, but that leaves a mark on someone. Even someone that you may think that never would have noticed you. You know what I mean? So it plays a huge part, for sure.
It's definitely the way you carry yourself, and being honest. You got to be honest with yourself, and you got to be honest with other people.
Yeah, and I want to add to what I said too. He said something about the preparation.
Mm-hmm.
Being a leader, showing up for yourself before everybody sees you. Preparing yourself, like you're going to be a teacher or whatever you want to be in life. Going to school, studying harder than the next person. Somebody give you a task, going that extra mile for yourself because you want to be better. If you do that for yourself, eventually you'll have a chance to lead like you want to lead. So.
Absolutely.
You want to plant that seed in other people too. You want to build leaders out of your environment.
Talk about it.
You know what I mean? The knuckleheads in my classroom, they know the rules when they come to the stage. You know, I want to chill and relax. So come in here while I'm free. Yeah, don't try to lie because I did it before too. So, that type of thing.
That's the same in my classroom as well. All right, so we have several high schoolers in this room. Could you raise your hand, high schoolers? And we have people that graduated from high school recently. Of course, on this panel, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Sneed and I are the closest people to high school. Well, so here's the question. I don't know. But here's the next question. So How can a high school student lead today? Because we know we don't have to wait. As you all already shared, you all knew you were leaders from a very early age. So you don't have to wait until you get to middle school, high school, college to be a leader. But what are some ways a high school student can lead today?
I can say that I'm very close to high school because I have a daughter who's in high school. So, and these are things that I teach my daughter. Like, she's around other students, you see things happening. Like, as a student, you don't always have to follow the crowd, okay? When somebody's, let's go to bullying. If somebody's bullying someone, and you know it's not right, you don't always have to be a tattletale, you know, you have to tell. But you can also support that child who's being bullied. You can speak with the person on the side. You can encourage them on the side. Like those things that you do that nobody sees. You can just tell them, hey, this is going on, I see what you're going through, keep your head up. Like just being a leader, you know, influencing, because leadership is about influence. What kind of influence can you have? People influence each other with the trends of style. Like you dress a certain type of way. You see everybody else is being sloppy, coming out there with their pajamas on and with their bonnets, but you come through with your pants pulled up. Your shoes are tied, you are clean and presentable. And your teachers will notice that. Administration notices it. So when you are taking a chance and being different than everybody else, that's leadership. So dare to be different.
I would say, this is now the time to take your youth seriously. I know this is the time that everybody wants to have fun, but right now is definitely the most time to go internally and set up a daily system for yourself. Whatever journey, whatever path you're taking, set up a system where you're doing this by this time every single day and sticking to it. These affirmations y'all were doing, I heard y'all stumble a couple times, I go judge y'all. Because I wish I could go back to 18, y'all. Go right into real estate. Oh my gosh, my real estate money if I was in there 18, because I'm 36 now. Man, I wish I could go back to some, really take advantage of this time right now, for sure.
Get involved in a lot of extracurricular. That's a way that you can become a leader. Student government is a big one. It actually was good on the college stuff, you filling out, you know, stuff for college, but definitely being different, like you said, bouncing off of that. Because when you're different, you're noticeable. It shows. Like for example, like with my dump truck, I have either some type of cancer awareness or some kind of awareness on each truck, and that makes me different from everybody else. So I'll get calls just from random people, you know, they're thanking me for honoring this awareness. Just being different it definitely will be noticed.
And think about when you're going for a job. The person who's doing the interview, they see a lot of people coming through there. They've all gone to a great school. They all have good grades. But how do you stand out? Looking in the room now, a lot of people have on dark colored jackets. You have your tie on. I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but this gentleman right here has a peach shirt on. So he automatically stands out. This person right here has a white shirt on. He's standing out. So how can you make yourself different? Being involved in those extracurricular activities, getting those extra skills, because there are skills that you learn being in student government, being in the band, or being on the sports team. You get skills from all those things that you can carry on into your life going forward.
For the most part, I mean, just keying in on your school's environment and take in what you might can bring to the forefront. Like they were saying, clubs and things of that nature. So if my school has a need in, I don't know, let's say, I don't know, anything, let's just throw something out there, but whatever that topic may be, what you want to do is you want to figure out how you go about, you know, making the right steps to bringing that to the forefront for your school, to open up that door to allow that to marinate and to grow into something that could be special. So I think that's kind of how you do it. And again, leaders are able to follow. So learning how to follow is always gonna be a key thing with leadership in any time, space.
Absolutely.
Can I do one more? Oh, I'm sorry. Paying attention to what you feed in your mind, your body, your spirit every day. I thought it was fake, y'all had to teach me. I didn't know doom scrolling was real. What? People had to do that? Like, what? Whatever you feed in your mind every day, please make sure it reflects the path you take. Because if you coming around me with all that noise, talking like people social, I'm gonna ignore you. If you're coming to me trying to do business, trying to close a deal with me, I'm gonna look at you like you're crazy. So please, consume enough stuff day to day that doesn't drain you. Because y'all stepping into a leadership role where people are watching y'all. These kids gonna be watching y'all. Your family, your little cousin, your little brother, they're watching y'all. We're watching y'all. Battle watching y'all. Please pay attention to that. I didn't know doom scrolling was a real thing. I wanted to be the old head and bring it.
Those are some really key answers, some great answers. Start building your routine. Look for a need in your environment where you are. Dare to be different and stand out in your environment and what you're doing. Those are some really key and great answers. Thank you, gentlemen. We're going to move on to our next topic, which is why representation matters. And so our first question for you all is, why is it important for young people to see men, particularly black men, in classrooms? Why is it important for young people to see men, particularly black men, in classrooms?
Consequences. We teach consequences. You're gonna act a certain way, we're gonna show you what's on the other side of that. I was raised by my grandfather, my father, my uncles. Yeah, it's cool to have fun and be, have a good time. But we also gotta put that work in. That's not the time and place for everything. So if I was to see any of these brothers in my middle school, high school, I already know I ain't playing with such and such a day. Let me make sure I put my pants up, I got respect. I'm not, being foolish in the hallway, that sort of thing. It brings all I have to do is stick my head in the classroom when somebody's acting up. All I gotta do. Because I'm old enough because I know the kids' parents, that's one thing. But I'm also a coach. I coach track and football and basketball. So most of them know, oh, you acting up in the hallway? I'm gonna see you later. I'm gonna see you. I'm gonna have the best workout for you too. I think then we bring discipline to the schools for sure.
Representation matters. I'm gonna say it one more time. Representation matters. The reason why, and I no offense to anyone else, but the reason why College Minister was originally created was because that 1%. Black men represent 1% of the teaching force. Might be less than that, but we're gonna go with 1%. So, for anyone to not see themselves in a place, they don't think it's possible. Okay? If I'm looking for a role model or someone I want to be like, I want somebody who looks like me. I want to try to be like that person. So there were a lot of women in classrooms. So what did the guys do? What did they see? What was represented? They saw rappers. They saw basketball players. They saw football players. So everybody wants to be a track star or a basketball player or a football player because that's what they saw. So in order to change the trajectory of a generation, we have to also add representation to give them something that they can be like. So you start seeing men in suits, so guys want to be like the guys in the suit. Then they learn, oh, there are lawyers out there who are successful. There are teachers. When you finally get to a place where you see someone that looks like you, because even myself, in elementary school, I had all women teachers. There were white women, there were black women, but where the men? The custodian. And not that it's wrong to be a custodian, but again, that's a role of service. People see, oh, they're just that person. Even though it's a great role, because if we didn't have somebody cleaning the floors, what would you have? But again, it's just how things are portrayed. So representation matters because in order to be something, you have to have an example.
And bounce back off that, it gives motivation. I can remember when I was going to 8th grade, I wanted this male science teacher. I didn't want the woman science teacher. because I've never had a male teacher, I always had women teachers. So just to see a male being a teacher, you know, more of the boys wanted to have a male teacher because we never had a male teacher. Other than PE or gym, you know, you might have a male teacher then, but, and that's saying that they don't impact you, but you spend more time in the classroom, so you want that male figure in the classroom. And I think it also allows students to be heard and understood. I mean, you know, especially in boys, you know, men, young men, you have a male teacher, you can relate to them more.
It's just, for me, it's imperative, that we see people like ourselves. Just for example, like for me, 8th grade, I had a black, English teacher, which is male English teacher, by the way, which is rare, very rare. In my time, he was the only one I ever saw, only one I've seen since. But he gave me a sense that, because for me, you know, that being an athlete role is kind of like, you know what, I can just kind of, I don't gotta be able to read fully, technically, I can just read enough to get back, right? But he gave me this example that he can fluently read, you know, he can fluently comprehend, it was natural, and he brung it out of his classroom, and him just being up there and teaching, it just gave me hope that, you know, that I can definitely be that person that can go and read those big chapter books in 8th grade. You know, you look at them chapter books, 300 pages, I don't know, you know, but reality is like, no, that's something that we can do, and we can do more. We can do 1,000 pages, we can do 1,200 pages, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But just from that stance with having him as a teacher, it kind of changed the trajectory of what I thought I could be, and what I ended up being. So that's kind of my stance.
Absolutely, thank you. So, moving right along, what message would you all give to young men considering teaching? What message would you give to young men considering teaching?
It ain't for the weak hearted, I say that.
I'm about to say, don't play with
It ain't for the weak hearted. My story versus their stories was similar in that we all come through the Call Me Mr. program, but for me, I came to Call Me Mr. going to get my master's degree, not my undergrad. So my story is a little different in that I went into being a school counselor versus being a teacher. So of course, it's thousands of different aspects of it, but all in all, it's being able to reach the people beside you, being able to have an open ear, being able to, you know, see from someone else's lenses about whatever it is that's going on. So it's like, just gotta be mindful, man. Just be mindful of where you are and know that you are the difference. But it's definitely one of those things where you might walk in the building and your coworkers might not speak to you. You know what I mean? And it'll make you feel a certain type of way, you know? And I'm talking about in the city, growing up, I've dealt with all different types of people, but I've never experienced no one not speaking back. It's just a hello. But hey, I don't know what that person feels, I don't know what they're going through, but I have to show up every day. Because this is why I'm here, this is my purpose, and you have to fulfill it to the best of your abilities, even with the unknown factors that are going to be put up against you. So just the confidence piece and knowing that you're a part of changing the future. You might not see it that day, you might not see it, but we've touched thousands of lives, and we're young technically in the educational field, and we touched a lot of lives up to this point because we stood up and we stood out, and then we were that voice that those children needed when nobody else would speak up for them. So these are some of the things that you're going to experience, and it's going to feel, but just know that you haven't been the only one to go through it, and you won't be the last one to go through it. But your mark for that day and that the day moving forward is what really matters.
I'm I'll say to anybody, whether it's in education, whether it's a lawyer, doctor, whatever, do what you love, okay? If you love what you're doing, you'll never work. When I was a teacher, I loved teaching. I got into education because I liked the kids. Like I said before, I was trying to do other things, but then I went to where my passion was. I wanted to help the next generation. I wanted to see kids succeed. I wanted to see them learn. I love seeing that light bulb go off. And that's what made me go to work every day. Regardless of dealing with those coworkers who did not speak back. Because if you're doing what you love and you're great at it, you are going to have haters. Even as adults. You're going to have people who don't like what you're doing because your kids are in line and theirs aren't. Because you have expectations, your kids are doing what you ask them to do, then the next, when they go to the resource class and the resource teacher can't do nothing with them. Take these kids back. I don't know how you do this all day. If you're doing what you love, it doesn't matter. Be passionate about that. Be the greatest you can be at it, and everything else falls in place.
Everything you do, it's gonna have a challenge to it. So, I mean, whether you go into teaching or business owner, everything you go into, you're gonna have a challenge. So, you just have to face those challenges, but like he said, be the best that you can be at whatever you want to do. Like I've heard older people tell me, you will be a dish digger or something, be the best one. You know, whatever you will do, just be the best at what you're doing.
You're in charge of the room. You're in charge of other people's lives. There's nothing to play with. One small slip, you're done. If you're not passionate about this field or any field, then don't do it. I know a lot of teachers. I know a lot of people in my buildings who got all degrees, paperwork and everything. But when you look at them in their classroom, like, oh man, and y'all, I'm just a sub. I'm just a cool uncle in the hallway. I'm just a sub. I've managed to raise SOL score, testing score, stuff like that, just because I'm passionate about getting that person to the end goal, whether it's a student education, or my clients getting the deal closed. It's all the same to me. But you have to be passionate for this, because people gonna watch you. People, like they said, people are watching from all, now I have to be disciplined. Now I have to conduct myself in a certain way, going, in passing. I can't be just Greg, I gotta be Mr. H now, walking out, you know what I'm saying? People are watching, so take heed of that, please, do not play with that.
And you know the teachers and your experiences. The kids know. The children know the teachers that care about them. They know the teachers that don't. You can tell when those teachers are prepared and they have their stuff in order, and when they don't. Because you know when you went in that classroom and acted a fool. And you know who you can get away with it. So again, if you want to be a teacher, be great at it or don't do it at all. Because we don't have time. The generations are falling behind. Kids are not learning to read because they're staying on their iPhones and tablets. Parents aren't teaching them. Parents are working hard. Parents are doing the best they can with what they have. And we need you. If you want to be an educator, do it.
Always be a student too, bro. Always be willing to learn. Generation to generation, I think sometimes we often skip passing down the knowledge. The elders don't want to learn from the young don't want to learn, and there's a whole gap in between the two. You can learn from one of these kids. Or your elder. Some kid might surprise you sometimes, you know what I mean?
So, going off of something that Mr. Sneed said, he said, no matter what path you choose, you're always going to have challenges. You're always going to have things that you're going to have to work through and overcome. So, going based off of that question, what were some of your biggest setbacks, whether that is down your educational path or down your career paths, down your life paths? What were some of what was one of your biggest setbacks, and how did you move through, overcome, get past that setback?
One of my biggest setbacks, one of my biggest setbacks probably as a business owner, I was supposed to have a bid in by a certain time and date, and I missed the deadline. So it was a big job, and I was thinking maybe I'll just send in my bid and they might take it. They're not gonna take it. So that right there, I learned a lesson. that you have to be prepared, you have to be ready, you have to have all your stuff in order, because they don't care. They don't care. People do not care who you are, where you come from. If it's a deadline, it's a deadline. That's just a real world, you know. In the real world, look, that's what it is. You have a deadline, you gotta meet that deadline. And I definitely learned from that mistake, because I didn't get the job, they didn't even take my bid. But that taught me that I gotta take this seriously. I have to have all my stuff in, and now I'll have my quotes and stuff ready the day before. So I think that really taught me a life lesson in general. Because now I don't play around with all my bids. That's just coming from the business standpoint.
For me, which is gonna be kind of strange, but for me, it's always been fighting where I'm from. I'm from a place called Newport News, Virginia, which doesn't really have the best name in the world, but it's amazing people that come from this place, dating back to the early 1900s, if we're gonna be technical. But for me, it was always being that beacon, being that person that stood out to be different, right? But it was always hard, even as my first year as a school counselor at Woodside High School, right? I went in, Woodside is Fort Eustis, which we would consider uptown, which is a different part of town than where I'm from. I went to Heritage High School, which is in the downtown area of the city. And the stigma behind being from downtown, it follows me everywhere I go. And that's why I'm able to be here today. Because throughout the stigma, throughout what they say, throughout what they thought that I was gonna be or what I was, always showed up and showed out, right? Even here, I was one male and the only black male in my whole cohort when we're talking about getting through my master's program. So just imagine going to class seeing one other person that looks like you and having to stand up and give your opinion on whatever the case may be, knowing that no one understands where you're coming from. No one can fathom what are you even really saying, but standing on it and knowing that I know who I am, I know where I come from, and I know what I stand for. And that's going back to, again, your last name. I stood for my last name, which is Turner, right? We think back to people like Nat Turner, right? We're talking the early 1700s. He was seen, he was shunned. If you don't know the story, in so many words, they killed him because he was a rebel, right? But sometimes you have to stand up, and to this day, we know about Nat Turner because he stood up for what he believed in. Whether right or wrong, that's neither here nor there, but just standing up for what you believe in and being yourself through it all. So that's pretty much what I had to deal with, just where I was from. That's been my biggest thing all my life.
So my biggest challenge and setback is failure. I got my first job as a teacher before I even graduated. I was recruited, I did my student teaching in a place, and they hired me before I got my degree. I went to that school in that community that I'd never been in, and it was a culture shock dealing with a different type of community that I'd not grown up in. And I want to say I didn't do my best. Not that I didn't do my best, because I tried, I did what I had with what I knew. But I was learning how to be an adult in a new system, in a new program. Because what they teach you in school, once you get in the classroom, it's a whole different world. Like all that stuff they taught you, you have to learn curriculum. And unfortunately for me, I felt like I was compared to veteran teachers who had already been there teaching that subject. They're telling me, well, your class has this score, and this class has that score. I'm like, well, I'm following the plan. I'm doing the things that they're teaching me. And I feel like the mentorship and things that I could have gotten may not have been the best, in hindsight. But my mentor teacher was great. Like, we talked through all the things and everything. But anyway, long story short, my contract did not get renewed that year. My first year. I could have used that and gave up, but I didn't. I went back home to my home county, and I got a job I ended up getting a substitute teacher role. Because when they were talking about contracts and stuff, I resigned and finished the year out. And the principal back home had been telling me, hey, come back, because they want me to, two schools want me, so the other school I wasn't going back to. I thought I had a job, never had a contract signed, and they ended up not filling the position either. So, once again, that's another lesson. Don't give up what you have without having something else secured. Because I let that school go, because I knew in my mind I had another job. I didn't have that contract signed. Anyway, so needless to say, I went back, I became a full-time sub until I got the next contract for the next year. And from there, I did 10 more years teaching. I ended up getting my master's in administration and moving forward to do other things greater in education. But that first failure could have set me back. So you won't always be great when you first start anything. But as long as you keep trying and do your best and learn from it, you do good.
And to bounce back off of that failure, don't let failure define you. Use that as a lesson and learn from your mistakes and how you think you failed, because everybody makes mistakes, everybody's going to fail. But you have to use that as a lesson.
Setback. Maturity is what I'll say. Because you gotta stay grounded. You can't get too high off the winds and too low off, when life is life. I made the most money at that time at one time, at the angriest time of my life. And this is when I wasn't working at the school at the time. I was real big in real estate. I was successful, but personally, I was at my angriest. My productivity each day is based on how I felt. And so I made the biggest check. But y'all, it let money blew so fast. So fast where I could have put it right back into the business. I'm good now, but I could have been way more, in a better position. But because at that time, I made the most money post-divorce, y'all. So I don't need to explain y'all how emotional I was at the time. So I think that was definitely a setback for sure. Not understanding I need to look in the mirror and fix some things, for sure.
Gentlemen, we have about 12 minutes left, and we have some great questions here, but I also want to leave time for some people to ask. So give me 1 second, and we're going to get to questions from the audience in just a second. I'm asking you all to keep your answers a little bit more brief as we run through a couple of questions right here. So, next question, great question. I really want to hear from all of you on this, but keep it as short as you can. How do you know you're making a difference in your community, in people's lives, in your careers? How do you know? What are some signs that you know you're making a difference? Keep it brief.
The way the kids react to me in the community. Sometimes it's kids that don't look like me at all. And they're the most, precious kids ever. They'll see me in Wawa, I'm in my hoodie, fitted Jordans, whatever, and just their grandparents looking at me like, who are just speaking to my like it makes a huge difference. That warm hug is like, I'm a father of daughters, so when I come home, I want to feel that daddy. So when my students see me, I get excited when I hear the stage. You know what I mean? For sure.
So, bouncing off that question, my business, I have 20 drivers, and I get calls every day that people want to come work for me. So that means that I know I'm doing something right if the more people that wants to come to be a part of your team.
You won't always know you're making a difference when you're doing the job that you're doing. But down the road, somebody's gonna come back and tell you, hey, you did this for me, and this is how it affected my life. When you are teaching, your students are gonna come back and tell you the difference you made. When you're out in the world doing the things you do in your community, people are gonna come back and tell you that this is that happened. Or you'll just see the results of your own labor. You'll see the work coming past. So the fruit will follow the tree.
Pretty much what Mr. Wayne said. I've helped 1,000 kids graduate, and I won't know if that one that I helped push that extra push, I won't know if he went on and do anything until one day, God blesses us to run across paths, and they just say, hey, thank you. you know, that's when I knew I was making a difference. When that kid that it was no hope, and we found a way, and he said thank you, and he's not locked up or, you know, none of that crazy stuff, killed nobody and nothing like that. So it's kind of how I look at it.
All right, last question from me, and then we're gonna begin to take questions from the audience. So, lost my question. What is one healthy habit every young man or young woman should develop? Mr. Hutton talked earlier about get your routine set, you know, start building your routines. We talked about high school set. What is one healthy habit that every young man or young woman should develop?
Waking up early. I work out in the morning. So I stick to that. I gotta make sure I work out in the morning, but reading, meditating, I listen to, I'm a podcast overhead. Like I listen to a lot of business stuff, NPR and all that stuff. And just getting my day to day as everybody else is still asleep.
Question again, it said one healthy
Yes.
habit.
What is one healthy habit every young man or young woman should develop?
I was gonna jump when he said
Mm-hmm.
that. But, so there was a book that I read. It's called the 5 a.m. Club. And I became a member of the 5 a.m. Club. You have to read to find out all the details. But getting up early, establishing those routines, more than one thing. But becoming a part of the club, just getting 1% better every day. So if you find whatever skill it is, whatever you want to focus on, but just get 1% better. If you compound that 1%, 1%, in 30 days you'll be how much? 30% better. So if you keep getting better, and once you are great at that thing, then you just pick another thing. So just keep improving yourself. That's my thing.
Being consistent, is a big one. Like they said, having a daily routine. You like to exercise. You gotta meditate. Whatever you have to do, but keep a consistent routine going.
So pretty much everything what everybody else said, and one key thing that I would say is just being able to self-reflect, take time for yourself to kind of manage where you are, where you want to be, and then how you're going to take those steps to get into where you want to be.
Absolutely. So we'll take questions from the audience now. Yes, please, right here.
Good morning, my name is CJ. I kind of have like two questions. I believe it was Mr. Turner who really inspired both questions, honestly. So my first one is, how do you command a room as like a bigger person? And the second one is, what are all your thoughts on sports being pushed on black men versus like the STEM aspect? Because I know you guys were talking about representation, and from a different scholarship that I have, NOIS, it's all about STEM education, and we've talked about there's no black representation in STEM, especially also just women in STEM too, but there's no representation there at all, so I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Question. Yeah, it's on you.
But I mean, we kind of command the room already. When we walk in, I don't know, I'm bigger than everybody here, so it's like, oh, look at the big guy in the back. No, you just speaking to the, but so you're gonna command the room already, but it's just knowing that you're commanding the room and just being present in the moment. I be nervous a lot, to keep being honest with you. Maybe can't tell I'm nervous now, but you kind of can't tell because I feed off of my audience. So I've been paying attention to him, I've been looking at you, I've been looking at him, I've been looking at, just kind of feeding and seeing if y'all even interacting with what I'm even talking about, right? When you talk about STEM, my high school was a STEM high school. Heritage High School is a STEM. I took some STEM classes. I didn't want to further my education in STEM because it just was a little tricky at the time. Again, I'm a jock. I hate to say it like that. I was an honor roll student, by the way, so you don't get it confused. But it's one of those things where we have to figure that out, to be honest with you, because we are needed. It is a big need in that field. We know that that's the future. We know that's where we're headed. But how do we come about, and that's something that maybe you can work on, right? How do we bring our group into the fold of STEM?
Yes, please. Where are you going to
I
respond?
was gonna add to that too.
Please respond.
Don't shrink yourself down because of your size. I'm saying in that way. Because being a taller guy or heavier guy or a muscular guy, different in any aspect, you see that as the only thing you are. Making yourself feel smaller so that you don't stand out also hinders you. Okay? So if you want to see more of your kind in an area, so if you want to see more men in STEM or thing like that, be that person that sets the trend. And talk about it. There are people on social media doing it, but people are looking for somebody like them. Be that person, and your kind of people, whoever you are, will come to you because they'll see themselves in you.
So people are looking for you to gain that knowledge and then represent for them so they can start as well. We have one right here and then we have several going on. Go ahead.
I have two questions. One is specific to Turner. What was the first, what year did you start teaching at Woodside High School?
2014, 2015 school year. I know his mom,
Yeah.
by the way. I worked with his mom. Yeah. So I worked with his mom for like 4 years.
Yeah. My second question is, I asked this because I TA'd and I would teach, and I had a very disruptive student, and it was a very repetitive problem, and emails were sent home, nothing happened, he wasn't able to be transferred to any other class, and it was a very constant disruption, and I was at a loss for to do it. Honestly, my actual teacher was kind of at a loss for review. What would you do in that scenario where emailing home isn't working, they got suspended, it doesn't fix the behavior, and as this was an elective, you can't switch them out of the class?
Build a relationship. Like, it goes all the way down to relationship. And as I was an elementary teacher. So as the only black man educator in a building full of females, you tend to get the problem kids anyway. They see the black boy who's having trouble, they're gonna pair them with you because you're the black man in the building to give them that role model. But if you build that relationship with those students, unfortunately, it takes work. Like, it takes us pouring extra into that on top of the educational piece. And that goes back to that, my thing I learned that first year teaching. It's like I was really focusing on a lot of relational things that were going on too. But building that relationship with your students helps them see you different, and you'll have them right around your finger in a sense, doing what you want them to do. They won't misbehave with you, but they'll do with everybody else.
Let me go off of that, and then we're gonna get some more questions. Make sure you don't forget your questions. Make sure you ask them succinctly. Yeah, it's gonna take time. It takes time. You have to spend more time sometimes with that young person than maybe with some of the rest of the class. And like Mr. Morris said, it's not an easy thing all the time. But building the relation, and you might not see them get to, let's say they start off at, I'm just saying this, at an F in terms of behavior. You may not see them get to an A by the end of the year. They may go from an F to a D in behavior. You see what I'm saying? Talking about in terms of, but they might go from an F to a C minus. But you build that relationship with them with the time that you have, because it's not all about them interrupting your class. Of course, it's important because they're not the only student in the class. You got 24 other students. Everybody's education is important. But it's about helping them so that later on in life, they have the behavioral regulation that they need to be successful, right? So that's really important. All right, moving on. Yes, right here.
So I have a question for everybody. I have another question for Mr. Turner. So a question for everybody. So my first question is, going into entrepreneurship, since that's something I'm trying to do with myself as well, and trying to push my stuff out there, what are like some of the key things that entrepreneurs should focus on when they're first starting out? And my second question for Mr. Turner is, I resonate with what you said by representing your last name. That's something I try to do, especially with, my last name is Pipes. You never meet another Pipes. So I always try my best to represent my last name. So what are some of the ways you want to go about that, especially when you feel like there are times you might be doing a disservice?
You want me to start?
Neither, anyone.
Okay, awesome. All right, so for me, right, like I kind of explained, I don't look at it as it's not about me. I'm not doing this for me, whatever it is that I may be doing, right? I'm doing it because of legacy. The people that came before me, the people that are here waiting on me, and the people that have yet to come, right? So I think it's just important to, in those moments where it does get tricky, you do have your moments where it's like, is this even worth it, you know? But in those moments, you have to stop and think. And for me, I use my grandmother, right? She was a matriarch. My grandfather was a good guy, but he wasn't in the picture when we're talking about raising my mom and her sisters and so on and so forth. So I just saw the strength in her and how she carried herself, and how even if it may look like we had nothing, when we stepped out, she stepped out. She's gonna wear her jewelry, she's gonna wear her, you know, she's gonna present herself in a manner that she will want somebody like myself to represent her for years to come. So just keep that in mind.
A place to get started. So, like I mentioned before, I'm a content creator, marketing person, photographer, all that stuff like that. Branding is important. Branding yourself as a teacher. There are so many teachers on social media that post their teacher topic, their teacher helps, and then they have teacher pay teachers, where you're developing stuff to get out there to other teachers. There's so much you can do with that. But it just starts with yourself. You said your last name is Pipes. Like, you can do an acronym with your name because it's a memorable name. Like, that's something that people remember. You know, whatever your thing that you want to start, use that, brand it, and get it out there. Again, it goes back to being different. How can you make what you're doing stand out in the sea of all the other people doing it?
Yeah, I agree with what he said with branding. Just being different, being you. Like, if you want to start being an entrepreneur, you have to put yourself out there. One of the main components is being honest. You know, being honest, doing what you say you're gonna do. And also, like he said with branding, so like my trucks, like I said before, they have different awareness on them. So they know when they see one of my trucks, it's gonna have some kind of awareness on that truck. So it's basically being different, putting yourself out there, and having your own brand for yourself.
Just do it. Oh, just do it. Just do it. Don't be afraid to fail. Just do it. And be in those different rooms that you can actually learn from someone, build from someone, network, the whole nine. Just do it.
And do your research.
Absolutely. For sure.
Because I'm one of those people that just do it. I jump out head first, feet first, all into it. And I learn as I go. So that might took me a little longer to get to where I am. But now, when I do anything, I'm researching it. I'm figuring it out. I'm helping other people do it. I research whatever they're trying to do, and then I put it together, and then we go.
All right, gentlemen, we got to move forward. I really, really, really quickly want to get to these last two questions. I need your answers to be 2 sentences.
Good morning. My question was just, what is the time when you doubted you were a leader or your leadership, and how did you recover?
All the time. Second sentence. Get back up and keep going. Like, it seems simple. Like, it's like, don't do it. Get up, keep going. But seriously, like, you're gonna fail. You're gonna doubt yourself. I'm in my head all the time. I was having this conversation coming up the road about the things that I'm trying to do. Like, putting myself out there constantly as a creator is like, I gotta do this again. But I love what I do, so it doesn't matter. But I get in my head because I don't want to always have to show up, but I have to. I failed, but I have to get up again. Because every time I get up again and present it, I find another client. Somebody else finds me that did not know me before. So, keep going.
You don't even control the day-to-day system that's in the problem. That's all you control. As long as you continue to keep working on it, you won't fail. It's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen. It is. Just don't anticipate it. Just accept it and keep doing what you're doing.
And we're gonna move on. I gotta move on. Go ahead with your question.
What was the most important lesson that you have been taught by a student?
Good question.
I got it.
I take 3 sentences for that one.
It's kind of deep and a little dark, so excuse me, y'all. I teach a student of a person who kind of maybe hurting a family member of mine. That is one of the sweetest little girls in the building. She taught me Dang, y'all get me emotional. But yeah, teaching the student of that person has taught me patience, has taught me being graceful, and have a sense of humor. I'm talking about this young lady runs to me every time she sees me, biggest hug, knowing that what I know. But yeah, I didn't want to get too deep on y'all, excuse me.
Resilience. They teach you resilience. Because you see some of the stuff that those students go through, and they show up every day. And you have to give them the best that you have to give them. Like those troll kids, I don't remember the names of all my good kids. But those bad kids, those kids that are going through, you remember their names. You remember their struggles, but you see how they come through it. You see how they grow. You see how they change. And like you said, those are the ones. If I see them out in the streets, I remember them, they remember me. And sometimes they come up and those, the moms, the parents, they remember me too.
Anyone else? No? All right. That is it. Everybody, let's give it up. Thank you all so much. Thank you all for your vulnerability and your honesty and your integrity. I'm passing it back over to Mr. Morgan.